Toku Secrets is a podcast run by the Anime Secrets website. Check us out at animesecrets.org for more anime, video game, tokusatsu content. Remember to follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or wherever you listen to podcasts today.
Hey everybody, it's Jason from Orange Time Force, and you're watching Toku Secrets Podcast.
Tokusatsu, taking the form of many shows including Super Sentai, Kamen Rider, and Metal Heroes. And today, a group of fans come together to review it for you as Toku Secrets.
Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of the Toku Secrets Podcast, presented by animesecrets.org. I'm your host, Nathan Dessau, also known as Boken Silver.
Patrick Island here, Shinken Red.
Hey, I'm Rizwan Merton, and I'm Gokai Red.
Anthony Davis, Kyoyu Green.
And today we are doing King-Ohger episodes 22 through 26, which is actually a really big deal since this is kind of a big deal. It's already pretty much out there, but we'll go into why this is the point where we're stopping. Before we start off, though, there's two things that we briefly want to bring to people's attention of the Toku community. So for starters, and we're not going to spend so much time on this, we just want to make a comment. Recently, Junya Ikeda, who played Guy Ikari on Gokaiger, made a huge announcement on Twitter that he's been dealing with depression and a lot of mental health issues. I'm on X/Twitter, and it's been a huge problem, and we just want to say that we on the Toku Secrets Podcast, as well as like everybody in the Toku community, wants to make it clear that we stand with him. We hope that he gets better, and we want to say to our favorite Silver Ranger / Super Sentai fanboy, we love you, we stand with you, and you have a lot to live for. You have a lot to live for. We love you, man.
You have a lot to live for, and let's make it stoic, goddammit.
Yep.
And I know the Twitter community has been flooding him with love. So
I've been seeing
He's been thanking people too for the love and generosity too.
Yeah, he's reading them. He's actively acknowledged and replied to some of, so he knows. Yeah.
Now, one thing I want to say tangentially related to what Nate just talked about, and that is our Toku community's backlash against the Cosmic Fury production staff and actors.
Oh, yeah.
That stuff needs to stop. All right?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Y'all can't be going after a Hunter Dino for being a Red Ranger and all this stuff. Like, I understand all the issues that are coming out of it, but C is not the one you got to blame. C is not the one you're angry with. You're mad with the production staff for making a change that thematically has in the past always screwed over black Red Rangers.
That's true.
I get why this is a thing, but your anger is not with Hunter. Your anger is not with Simon Bennett. Well, a little bit with Simon Bennett because he is a showrunner, but you shouldn't be attacking these people for doing something like this. Like, they're still breaking some really big ground here, bringing a full-time female Red. This has never happened full-time. We've had, Lauren and Samurai. We had Charlie and SPD from the A-Team. But we've never had anyone who was, like, on the credits, the Red Ranger for a season.
Yep.
And honestly, all the people out there who are saying Cosmic Fury already sucks, you can't say that for another, 17 days. So hold your horses, and after you've watched the 10 episodes on Netflix, then you can go harping on about how much you don't like it. Because honestly, everything I've seen, and I'm not going to talk about Cosmic Fury all that much right now, but all the promotional stuff I've seen, like the trailers, the behind-the-scenes photos, everything I've seen so far, to me, this is looking like a grade A, amazing Ranger series.
Yep.
I'm not going to say it's one of the best, because we all know that's in space, but
exactly,
it's looking pretty dang good. Like, it might break into S tier if it is as good as I think it is.
Yep.
And that's just looking at the transformation sequence that's looking at what the story looks like it might be, bringing back Heckle of all people. Like, who saw that coming before Illuminati Nerd or whatever the website's called did their big thing where they spoiled that for the entire community by saying, oh yeah, by the way, he's coming back. Like, that is amazing stuff we're doing here. And bringing back David Yost as a full-time recurring character.
Yeah, that's insane.
Also insane. Like, these guys are pulling out all the stops in the best way they can to give us a really good season and a really good send-off in case this is the last time we get this continuity of Rangers before the reboot happens.
Right.
So y'all need to get off your high horses here for a minute and just be thankful that we had somebody like Simon Bennett running Beast Morphers, Dino Fury, and now Cosmic Fury. I think he was a little bit involved with Ninja Steel, but he gets a pass for that.
Yeah.
Because it sucked. I'm sorry. I will never defend Ninja Steel.
No, Ninja Steel was one of the worst things I've ever seen in any toku. Like, it's not Don bad, but it's pretty damn bad.
But yeah,
Is it Dax bad?
we just we say all that to make it clear that we support people who deal with mental health issues, and we don't want those issues to become a problem with the Cosmic Fury people as well.
Yeah, I don't want this to turn into a thing where 5 years down the line, Hunter Dino is admitting on Twitter that it took a big mental health toll on her. That's the last thing I want to see.
Yeah, we don't want that.
Mm-hmm.
And we stand with you, Junya Ikeda. I know you're probably not, but we do stand with you.
Yeah, we stand. My stance is I stand with all of the actors and writers of anything I'm creatively a fan of.
Yep.
So we love you. We support you. We're here for you.
And one other thing, there's not much to really talk about yet, but pretty early, to be honest, but we have a Sentai 2024 name drop.
Its name is goofy.
It's called Baku Age
It
Sentai
really is.
Boomger, which
Boomger.
I actually asked my wife to take a look.
We bring in the boom.
I asked my wife to look at the kanji. Baku Age pretty much is like high energy or shooting up, like explosive energy. So this is very clearly going to be kind of a Dynaman type of Sentai.
So, am I hearing correctly that Zem and Zema have crossed into Sentai?
Oh no!
And are making their
I
squadron.
was gonna say
it's the crossover nobody asked for.
No. It's not a crossover. It's a continuation of RPM.
It's like in Super Sentai.
Look, it's a sequel to
Michael,
Beast
eat your heart
Morphers.
out.
Yeah, that is true.
I'll be fine with it because I'd like to see how it is. I'll give it a chance.
Yeah, I'm down to see. I'm just curious about the name.
The name is just a little bit too Looney Tunes for me. But
well, that's fine. It's not the worst name I've ever heard.
It sounds like the name of a Flintstones
Don
character.
Brothers doesn't sound goofy.
It sounds like the name of a Flintstones character. First we got Bam Bam, and now we got Boom Boomger.
How are they gonna name the Rangers? Are they gonna be like Boom Red Boom?
Red Bumper. It's like, oh no.
Okay. I'm honestly hoping that somebody is called Boomer in the
That would be great.
Their mentor. Let's call him Boomer.
Yes, exactly. Their mentor has to name Boomer.
Boom Boom.
No, not Boom Boom. Boomer.
I know, but his name is Boom Boom.
So then we could have a scene where it's like, Rangers, return to the command center immediately.
Shut up, Boomer.
Okay, Boomer.
Honestly, if they choose to go a route of making this like another Car Ranger, that would be perfect.
Yeah,
That would be great.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to see how by the time that Sentai premieres, I'll probably have seen Dynaman, so I can kind of see how the first outing of an explosion themed Sentai was. But we'll see how that is. But anyway, we've talked about, we just spent like 10 minutes talking about some separate matters. I just wanted to bring attention to both of those things, especially the Junya Ikeda thing. That is a very important thing to bring up. So with that said, let's jump into Ohsama Sentai King-Ohger.
Can I bring some up real quick first before we continue?
Go ahead.
So apparently, what was it? Freaking Fortnite did a recreation of the Sho Kingdom's layer, and I promise you it's a real thing.
I think I heard about that in Japan. Fortnite is having a King-Ohger crossover, collaboration thing, and I heard that I was like, "What?"
It's like the throne room of the Sho Kingdom. What was it? No, it was
that was really bizarre when I heard that.
Yeah, no, I was just like, huh?
It's like I didn't even know people in Japan played Fortnite, but
I mean, I think I bring it up because it is King-Ohger, so I was like, just bring this up because it makes sense.
Oh, well, that's pretty cool, actually, though.
Yeah.
But anyway, there was so before we jump into these episodes, brief things. So it was apparently announced. Now it's already in effect. Like there's probably like 2 episodes that have come out since then, but
it was one episode out, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was announced that after episode 26, King-Ohger was going to have a time skip. So we're almost going to be entering kind of a completely different season almost. Like, I mean, some people are even saying that like the episodes that we're about to review could count as like an in-game arc for season 1 of King-Ohger, which is fine. And so that's actually kind of the big deal. And it honestly kind of makes a lot of the complaints that we've had with the story moving a little too fast work perfectly.
Yeah. Makes so much sense.
Because I was bringing that up last time. I was like, it feels like we're getting close to a finale here, and we're only halfway into the season. Well, it's because we hit the finale of the first arc. So,
and I think that's fine.
Yeah. It does completely null and void my complaint that I had last time.
Now, one question, and Nate's probably the best person to answer this. If I'm not mistaken, this is probably the first time we have this type of time skip and differentiation of seasons in this way within a season.
The more that I thought about it, like almost every Sentai, and obviously I don't know the ones between Tokusatsu and this one, but a lot of the Sentais, especially in the modern era, they always have like that big mid-season climax where something huge happens, and we've seen this with the Sentai that we've done, like in Gokaiger, it was the big crossover with the Hurricanegers. In Go Busters, there's an arc where they enter the subdimension, or what, I can't remember what it was called, and they defeat the Messiah, and that's supposedly the end, only for the next episode to reveal that it's not the end. And in Go Busters' case, that actually was kind of a big change, because if you remember with Go Busters, they changed the theme song.
I hated it.
But I mean, even with that, I don't think there's a time skip of even like a few days with Go Buster. It was like the next day type of thing, you know?
Well, like we're talking like maybe a month at most passed. But
but in this case, we have 2 years passing at least.
Yeah, so
that's an anime like trope that
this is a whole
time
other
skip.
Yeah.
This is a completely different ballgame.
Like, to me, this is like the equivalent of saying, okay, we've gone from Naruto to Naruto Shippuden.
Yeah, basically, that's literally what it is.
Like that's what I'm getting out of this, is that we got
or the obvious joke name that people have been saying, Super King-Ohger.
Yeah.
Oh no.
I mean,
or
if we just call it Space Ohger.
But
I'm starting to see similarities between Cosmic Fury and this. I'm just like, what? Like that's kind of weird.
I think they're intentionally doing something like that.
Oh, you think so too?
I think so.
This is like the equivalent of in like Midway, like Mighty Morphin Season 1 and Mighty Morphin Season 2 are both considered the same season, but like midway through Mighty Morphin, they kill Rita, and then like 2 years skip, and then here comes Lord Zed.
Yeah.
That's kind of what Dino Charge did.
It did.
Yeah.
Yeah, they kind of did do it.
I mean, same thing with, I think, did Dino Fury do something similar? I don't remember how the transition happened.
A time skip did happen, but it was only, I'd say, like around maybe a few months past. Yeah. I'm not sure. Maybe because what's her name was pregnant during the end of the season, the series. Yeah. Santora. Yeah, she was pregnant by the end of the season.
Void Mom.
Yeah, Void Queen. Void Mommy.
Void Mom.
Yeah. But anyway, so time to jump in, and we'll probably give our brief overall thoughts on not just the season thus far and what we can kind of consider a King-Ohger season 1 review, but also a little bit of something else that's coming. But we'll wait till the end of the podcast to talk about that. So, want to give a brief recap of what happened the last time we took a look at King-Ohger. So. Per the demands of Jeremy, Rackless entered peace negotiations with the Bugnarok, but then this led to the Bugnarok using Rackless to resurrect their general Daigorg, and they actually took over Sho Gods. This resulted in the 6 King-Ohgers. They unite together to formally form Ohsama Sentai King-Ohger, and they retake the kingdom, defeat the Bugnarok, and then Gira challenged Rackless to a trial by combat, and he defeated and killed Rackless, and now he is the new king of Sho Gods. And we also had the previous episode was basically just a clip show episode, basically. So now we're going to move in to episode 22, The Great Gathering of the Sho Gods. It picks up where the previous one left off, the King-Ohgers battle against Daigorg. He eats the shoe soles of the 3 great Sho Gods, so all the big ones, and that makes him grow bigger than King-Ohger, and he defeats them, and then Kaguraki reveals that he actually discovered that the lance, that's the thing that gives Gira the ability to transform into his basically his battleizer mode. I know it's not called a battleizer, but it's basically a battleizer. It can also unlock a secret power of the Sho Gods castle, and Suzume, his sister, reveals that it can transform into a giant robot, which, on a side note, a castle that can transform into a giant robot, that's just perfect with this fantasy setting. I absolutely love that.
It's so great.
Yeah. And the other King-Ohgers are battling against this monster called the Sho God Hunter, who disables all the other Sho Gods. And unfortunately, the lance does not work when Gira tries to use it. And the Sho Gods, with the encouragement of Yama, are able to, come together and defeat the Sho God Hunter. And the episode ends with Gira trying to use the lance. But it doesn't work. But they have to hurry because eventually Daigorg will get even bigger and bigger, and that'll be bad news for Sho Gods. What did we all think about this episode? Anybody want to go first for episode 22?
It felt very set-up-y.
Yeah.
Because this is basically the start of the final arc of the first half, so it just set up the eventual new mech and everything, so pretty basic, but it did its job.
It did its job pretty well, I'd say. Like, I have no complaints with the setup, and I don't want to knock points from an episode just because it isn't a setup, because those type of episodes are very important as well.
It's kind of hard to judge episodes. Yeah, this is one of those episodes where it's kind of hard to judge these episodes on their own because they're meant to be storylines over the span of like 4 or 5 episodes. So
like, I'm not going to give this a score because I don't think it's fair to give a score to this thing.
Yeah.
Like, I might actually hold off on
that's
giving
fair.
scores until the end.
Yeah, I think this whole arc needs to be scored on its own merit.
Yeah.
But
The one thing I'll say about this particular episode, though, is that I'm beyond glad that they didn't shoehorn in the castle's transformation in this episode after setting it up, because I've noticed that with a lot of some Sentais. Like, I haven't seen this episode of Ninja yet, but I know that it's the case where one whole episode they go and meet this guy who then transforms into whatever that lion mech was called in the exact same episode with no prior episode setup. I don't think so.
Well,
like,
you're also talking about Ninja, which is probably not the best thing to be looking at.
yeah,
Right.
that was one of the
I know.
that was one of the things that kind of annoyed me with because I did watch this far into Go-Go 5 when Grand Liner showed up. They introduced the trains and Grand Liner all in one episode, and it felt a little bit rushed. I think Lightspeed drew it out to 2 episodes, and it worked a lot better. But yeah, like especially with this, my complaint earlier of the season is shoving in King-Ohger immediately. I'm glad they gave this a little bit more setup, made it feel more grandiose when it finally showed up.
Yeah. Definitely.
So since we're just going to score this whole thing by itself, I'm going to just go over the basic plots for the next couple of episodes. So we get episode 23, Sho Gods' Moving Castle, where we find out from where basically Kafuki, who is Sho Gods' engineer, he reveals that the mech, which is called King-Ohgers Kabuto, it can't transform because it's so old and beyond repair. But then of course, Gira is able to get all the people of Sho Gods to unite around him, and they successfully get all the gears that need to be replaced. And Yama gets his people of Inko-Sopa to help repair the castle, and then they are able to transform it into King-Ohgers Kabuto. Sorry, my tongue is tied when I say that. And they fight off Daigorg and they defeat the Bugnarok general. But unfortunately, Gira continues to play up this act as the evil king, which thankfully he's going to stop that very soon. But I really hate that he keeps doing it here.
Me too.
And the episode ends with Gira officially. So first of all, the Sho Gods all get restored because Daigorg was destroyed. And Gira gets officially crowned King of Sho Gods. There's a huge ceremony. And then that moves us to episode 24, King of the In-Between versus King of the Abyss. So the episode begins with Shikyu dealing with a massive heat wave, and the main 5 King-Ohgers throw this big festival uniting all the kingdoms, during which... Actually, this is such a relieving thing. Gira snubs his 2 friends, Kagone and Boone, trying to play up the evil king act. And the King-Ohgers say, dude, can you just stop with the evil king act? Like, you really don't have to do this anymore. And he stops and he starts hanging out with his friends. Thank God they called him out on how annoying it is. Like, the show is aware of how bad that is at this point.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's just a personality trait that they're trying to relay to the rest of the audience, but they also realize that this is not like a long-term thing, because Gira's going from being this basically a street rat to being the king. So he will have some character growth here to kind of necessitate and help him take on that new role. Like, he can't just be this troll of a character while being the king of a country,
Yeah. It's time to stop.
Finally gave him some character development too.
Thank
It was great.
Instead of just being, no, screw you, brother. Now he's actually got some growing to do.
He's like, oh, I'm the leader now, so I need to keep my act together.
Well, that's awkward, right?
Right.
But anyway, so while this is happening, Jeremy confronts Desnarak the Eighth. That's the leader of the Bugnarok, in case you people who are listening don't remember. And he has actually sent a monster to the center of Shikyu to erupt lava. That's actually what's causing the heat wave. And it's part of his ultimate plan. And we actually get this big, kind of a huge realization that Jeremy kind of realizes that he accidentally caused, where the Bugnarok hate humanity because the legend says that the Bugnarok attacked humans unprovoked, but there's no proof that the Bugnarok actually did that. And they want to destroy humanity to clear their name. And when Jeremy returns to Sho Gods and hears all the King-Ohgers talking about the Bugnarok, he realizes, oh man, this is how I wrote the Ohsama Sentai King-Ohger legend. This is why people see the Bugnarok like this. And keep in mind, Jeremy wants the Bugnarok and humanity to coexist. So this is a huge, like, boom thing in his head.
And he's half Bugnarok himself. You know, it's like, it's like, you didn't see this coming? Like,
yeah.
Apparently not.
Oopsie.
He was the main one complaining about it. Like,
it's like when they say, "Oh, Quagmire."
Yeah,
exactly.
Oh, look at this! The consequences of my own actions.
And so then the King-Ohgers, they defeat the monster in Shikyu's core. Then they confront Desnarak himself, and he prepares to go inside the core himself. And during which the King-Ohgers try to fight him off, but then when Jeremy has a chance to like finish him off, he actually hesitates because we find out that Jeremy's full name is Jeremy Idmonarak Nebraziri. So he is a distant relative of Desnarak.
Dum dum dum.
Which is a pretty good twist, I'm not gonna lie. I like that.
Yeah.
Meaning he could be king of the Bugnarok if he wanted to.
Yep.
That's true.
So he refuses to fight. He pleads with Desnarak to stop because, he blames himself for everything, which, I mean, yeah, that's really good character development for Jeremy here, by the way.
Yeah, definitely.
But Desnarak refuses and plunges into the core, vowing that he'll destroy the world. That leaves us with episode 25, War of the Kings and the People, where Yama suggests that the only way to stop Desnarak is to unite all 20 Sho Gods. But in order to do that, they can only do that because only together they'll have enough power to withstand the heat. But in order to do that, they need to have a pilot for every Sho God. So that means they need to have like 20 people piloted together. So Jeremy sulks over how he created the conflict, but then Garojim, who's his like Bugnarok assistant basically, he tells him that if he wants to be a king, he must accept the burden of other people's lives. So Jeremy takes on Garojim as his retainer, and he will be the first citizen of this in-between world when, for the Bugnarok if he becomes king. So they spend the rest of the episode recruiting all of these, new pilots. Jeremy, of course, gets Garojim. Yama gets his assistant, Shiokara, and his 3 top engineers. Himeno gets her butler, Sebastian, a nurse, Elegance, and the Dr. Cleo. Kaguraki gets Suzume and his Kuroki, Kuroda. Rita gets Morofina. And then Gira gets all of his friends, so Doga, Kafuki, Boone, and Kogane. And they have all 20 pilots, and they combine all the Sho Gods to form God King-Ohger, which awesome name for a final mech. I absolutely love that.
I will say one thing here. I'm very happy that when they brought these 14 new people in, we didn't get 14 new King-Ohger costumes to go with it.
Oh, thank God!
Yeah, thank God we didn't need that.
Because if we got that many people at one time, I'd be like, nope, done, never again.
No.
So they form God King-Ohger. They pull Bugnarok out of the core, and then the episode ends with the 6 King-Ohgers, confronting him, preparing to finish him off for good. And that brings us to our very last episode of this batch, Birth of a New Country, where after they fight off the Bugnarok forces, Jeremy confronts Bugnarok on the future of the Bugnarok after he clears their name. And when he doesn't have a clear answer, Jeremy challenges him for the throne, and he actually gives him his kimono slayer until the time to battle. And Jeremy says that once he becomes king of the Bugnarok, he wants it to be recognized as an official kingdom in Shikyu if he wins. So he has to, establish what the people will look like and what the kingdom will look like per Rita's request. Himeno actually discovers that human DNA is very similar to Bugnarok DNA, which is, this is kind of a weird part where it gets explained, but Jeremy actually reveals that the Bugnarok have been eating Sho Gods, which are turning them into what they are today. And Bugnarok became king after he survived a bloody contest where all the Bugnarok were basically just eating each other, which is insane, but that's how it works. So Bugnarok is nearing death because he's been eating all these Sho Gods. So he has to defeat Bugnarok in order to become king, because that's the only way to decide the king of the Bugnarok. So after Rita confirms his quest, Jeremy has his big fight with Bugnarok. He defeats him. He initially opts to kill Bugnarok, but Gira convinces him that they should bring an end to the hatred between the Bugnarok and humanity. But then Kame Jim, who the guy who Anthony is still doing a victory lap over because he was part of Raklis's inner circle. He arrives and he kills Bugnarok because it's revealed that he is the one who's kind of been behind this whole thing between the hatred of the Bugnarok and humanity. So Bugnarok dies. The King-Ohgers all come together for God King-Ohger, and they defeat Kame Jim. Jeremy gets formally recognized as the new king of what he calls the Rift Kingdom, Bugnarok. He makes an announcement, and the episode ends with Jeremy and Garajim basically arriving in their new kingdom, and they're looking forward to this new future. But then Jeremy's narration, because if you remember correctly, Jeremy's actor has also been the narrator at the beginning of every episode. He reveals that, unfortunately, we have a new crisis on the horizon for Shikyu. And that is how season one, and that is how what is basically season 1 of King-Ohger ends.
And how we get Ohsama Sentai King-Ohger in space.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
That's how you do every sequel. You just put it in space.
Right. Works every time.
Every time.
It worked a lot in Power Rangers when they took Power Rangers Turbo and put it into space.
There you go.
I mean, it saved the franchise.
It did. It did.
So they did something right. You have to give them credit for that.
And Dane, now I'm just remembering that one joke that someone made where in space was actually called Power Rangers Super Turbo, and I hate them for that.
No. Who did that?
I don't remember who it was who did that, but I was like, I hate you.
Okay.
Oh my god.
Okay.
That guy's on my
If we're gonna
It was
do
hilarious though, but I hated that.
Okay, Patrick, if we're gonna do that, then Zeo is Super Mighty Morphin.
Super Mighty Morphin.
God.
Now, there's
And
a
then-
tongue twister for you.
Turbo is Ultra Zeo.
Ultra Zeo.
And then in space will become Supercharged Turbo.
Supercharged. Gee, you're making it worse. Shut up.
I didn't say I was gonna make it better. I'm just saying here's what they could have done instead.
So what do you think of this little in-game arc, guys? Like, anybody want to go first?
I have two notes that I want to use to start off with first. The first thing is, I remember it was the episode where Himeno and Yanma's kingdoms worked together to heal the Sho Gods or something after they were poisoned. And I said that this looks like it was setting the foundation for the kingdoms to become a little bit more unified. And in episode 25 is the episode where it came together finally.
Yeah.
Where it felt like they weren't just 5 separate kingdoms. They were actually, humanity together. And I really appreciate that, because that build up from like 10 episodes ago to that moment where they were all piloting God King-Ohger was great. And Riz and I were actually talking about this beforehand, but I think this is the first real blunder that King-Ohger has. Kamejim's revelation of being the mastermind behind everything. Cool, nice little twist. What did he do?
Yeah.
It's like,
I'm the one behind all this. I'm the one that caused the chaos. Go on. That's it.
Like,
oh yeah, I was the guy who did the Fury of the Gods thing, but I'm like, but you didn't say it verbally, and why didn't Himeno have a reaction to that?
There's a whole story behind that one little throwaway line, and they did nothing to expand on it, and I feel like that would have helped.
It would have
so much.
I know.
If they had made one more episode for this arc to cover everything, that could have been great. But they didn't. And honestly, like, to me, everything after God King-Ohger, like the mech, it feels a little disjointed and rushed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
Like, I don't know. I watched the first 4 episodes prior to 26 at one go, and then I watched 26 a week later, and I thought at first, maybe it's just because I watched it later that I feel like it's not fitting with the rest of it. But having y'all confirm that I'm not crazy, it's been kind of helpful.
Yeah, it really does feel like that they had more planned, but time constraints.
Yeah.
Maybe. So they cut some stuff. But
like you said, you just needed one more episode, and it just
that's all we needed.
So one more episode before they did the time skip, I think would have helped a lot.
Yeah,
but like I said, I think that's the first real blunder this season has done so far, which is actually kind of impressive. 26 episodes in, you only have one real issue. That's not bad.
Yeah, and even then, it's a blunder with the villains, which I mean, we already kind of had a consensus that the Bugnarok were really that Rackless was the most interesting villain out of all of these people.
Well, this moment could have rectified. This moment could have rectified that.
It should have,
because Kamejim, that little twist had him set up to have like an interesting dynamic with the story, and it probably would have made Desnarok's death have a little bit more impact too, because it seemed like he was completely oblivious to everything. So, like, I don't know. It needed to be explained, because it could have saved the Bugnarok a little bit.
Yeah, because right now, like, seeing everything happen with Jeremy getting the kingdom and all that, it doesn't feel very impactful to me.
Yeah.
Because we don't really know the Bugnarok all that well.
No.
Unless these new villains are like ancestors of the Bugnarok, which I think is entirely possible.
I think that's what's going to end up happening.
And they start expanding on them more and more in the second half of the season.
Yeah.
Which I hope that's the case.
Yeah, because they call this episode 27 is called The Space Bug King Arrive.
Yeah.
Well, as long as they're not like the last space bugs that I remember from Sentai, they should be good. And for those of you who are wondering, I'm talking about the War Star from Ghost Sager.
Oh, God. We don't talk about them.
I'm pretty sure they were called the War Star also in Megaforce.
They were. They both in Megaforce. They were literally the same name.
Okay. And they're both lame villains, so.
Yeah, it checks out.
But what I think even though the Bugnarok, like I think even though they kind of petered out, they fell just short of making the Bugnarok interesting villains. I do think what I love about this arc is what they do with Jeremy's character, like this big revelation that the Bugnarok are only hated because of how he's written it. Like that was actually really huge. Like I feel like, the King-Ohgers, like he probably had the most character growth in this big arc.
Did.
But I feel like the character writing for this arc, at least for the King-Ohgers, was pretty good. Like the King-Ohgers are all like, this writer, when he's able to write good Sentai characters, is actually doing pretty good. Even if the Bugnarok, he kind of fell just a little short at making them really good.
Yeah. I think it helps during this arc where they're actually working as a team for once. And their personalities play off each other really well. So, but yeah, Jeremy is solidifying himself as the best Six Ranger in Sentai. Like,
ooh,
yeah,
that's a lot coming from Patrick.
Yeah, and I don't think that there's even like a close second place at the moment. So,
Patrick, we all know how much you love Barai.
I would probably say from my bias, I say Boken Silver just because I have bias toward him. But if I take out my personal bias, I do have to say that Spider Kumonos might actually be the best, and I still have to see some of the other Six Rangers for everything between Tokuger in this. And maybe I would probably say that Time Fire is good also just from a personal bias. But if I look at things from an objective standpoint with no bias, I honestly don't think that there's any Six Ranger that can hold a candle to Spider Kumono's backstory.
We'll get familiar with Time Fire relatively soon, so we can make a more accurate judgment on that when we get to
it'll be more than just you giving a set assessment at that point.
Yeah.
But then we can kind of
if he's anything like Quantum Ranger, then he's got a pretty high expectations for the guy.
Even though I would personally put Boken Silver in the S tier, if I'm being like unbiased, he's probably an A tier. But from an unbiased standpoint, Spider Kimono's Jeremy, he is an S tier Six Ranger thus far. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
But what before we kind of just talk about the characters and the villains briefly, what do we want to give this in-game arc out of 10?
So before we get to that, I do want to highlight in a different way from what I said earlier how much I enjoyed the God King-Ohger unity, bringing all these characters together to have their moment in the spotlight. Because we've been seeing characters like Sebastian and I think his name was Boom.
Yeah, Boom.
We've been seeing them all season as like a minor character. So to see them become important to the story and make a difference in how things are happening, I think that's pretty awesome.
It shows unity between all the kingdoms, and it gives all these side characters who we've been getting loosely familiar with a chance to shine, deservingly so.
And that's amazing to me.
Yeah.
Because
I don't think I've seen another Sentai do that quite like this.
No, this Sentai's doing a lot of firsts, in my opinion.
And doing them well.
Yeah. Except the villains.
I don't think the Bugnarok are terrible. I just think they're being a little bit mishandled.
Well, the Bugnarok just aren't being given the screen time to make an impact on us.
Which really stinks because there's some good stuff there if they chose to expand on it.
Yeah.
So
of the Sentais that we've taken a look at, I guess they would technically have to be number 2 because there's something there which makes them better than the Ghetto Shoe. But are they on the level of the Vyram? Absolutely
no.
No.
There's not going to be very many villain groups on the level of them.
Maybe the third best, because I know we didn't like Geki Ranger, but Rio and Melee still deserve to be called great villains.
Yeah.
But Rio and Melee are like anti-hero characters to me more than like villain.
Yeah, okay, that's fair enough.
They're a gray area.
Yeah.
But what would we give this little in-game arc out of 10?
I'd probably put this at a 9. Loses some points for the villain handling.
Yeah, I'd probably go. I maybe give it an 8, just because I think, like we were talking about, the pacing was a little bit off, and how they fumbled the Bugnarok explanation at the end kind of annoyed me a little bit. But overall, it's more of what's been making King-Ohger so good up to this point.
Yeah. I'm gonna give mine a score of 8.5 out of 10, because it's, like you said, it's just it hit all the right goals, but like it said, it just rushed through the last bit of it, and I wanted to know more about what Kamijin, what did he do? What did he do? Like what was like what was his, like, I wanted to see step 1 to step 10 to 100. You know what I'm saying? I just want to see all that.
I mean, I think this will be revisited, because I did see the new intro animation and everything, and I think he's in the intro when they did a brief group shot of the new villains. Okay. So I think he might still be alive, but don't quote me on that.
And hey, I welcome that.
Yeah, like
if they explain that more, then this could, if they explain that more, then this arc could like literally be up to a 10.
Yeah, like if they go back in hindsight and explain everything more, then it'll benefit this arc a little bit more.
And I'm probably going to give it a 9 too, just because I recognize Patrick's little grievance, and I think that's a fair one.
I'm actually going to change my score to an 8.5 after remembering the pacing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, now, we don't really have to go into like detail with like, I mean, we've kind of already talked about how, the story has been great, and like, and technically, even though we're calling this an in-game arc, I mean, this Sentai isn't over. We're still going to be seeing these characters for half another.
We're only at the halfway mark.
Yeah, that was just the end of the first arc. So,
but what I really just want to say is that like I've always loved Sentais who have like a big mid-season climax, but this brings mid-season climax to a completely different meaning, where they're ending one story and then they're going to do a time skip to like start a completely different story. Like, I absolutely love that.
And that's what I was trying to get at earlier. Is I think this is the first Sentai to do what you just said.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think any plot's done that in the last 47 Sentai. Or 46.
I mean, this is like the equivalent of Gokaiger. Instead of doing that big Hurricaneger team up thing, it ends with them getting all of the remaining grand powers. They defeat the Zanyak, and then they have to go looking for the greatest treasure in the universe with the grand powers, and then they skip ahead like 2 years where they're still looking for the treasure, basically.
Can we get that as a season, please? Can I be season 50?
That would be cool.
Knowing how they like to milk the Gokaiger, I wouldn't be surprised if they try to do something.
Dude, if we get Gokaiger season 2 for season 50, I'll be okay with that.
Yeah.
Patrick will be there kicking and screaming the entire time, do I think?
We've kind of already talked about the villains. I mean, I think the Bugnarok have become a little bit better with this story arc. Not by too much, but hopefully this new arc will probably like up them a bit more. They're moving in the right direction. But they're not quite there yet. But what do we want to say for our updated character rankings of the 6 King-Ohgers? I can't remember the ones that I gave, in case anybody else remembers theirs, you guys can go ahead and just give your rankings.
I don't know if mine has necessarily changed. I'm kind of putting Himeno and Jeremy kind of like as 1A and 1B. I can't really decide which one I like more. I'd probably put Yanma after that, then Rita, then Gira, and then I still have Kaguraki at the bottom.
Poor Kaguraki.
I honestly forgot that he's in the show sometimes.
Yeah.
He's not a bad character. He's the most underutilized.
And I mean, he gets some more utility towards the end of the season with his sister's story kind of coming out to play more, but Definitely. It's an issue.
Yeah.
For me, I'm in your boat, Patrick, but I can definitively say Jimeno is number 1 to me. Jeremy's number 2.
I mean, there's no wrong answer there. So
No.
followed by Yanma, Rita, then Kaguraki, I think, or maybe I'd do Rita over Yanma. I don't know. It's the only thing I know for certain is Jimeno at the top, Kaguraki at the bottom, and the others are in the middle somewhere.
And what about you, Anthony?
Let's see. Of course, I'm gonna put Yamlet first, obviously. Jimeno, Rita, Jeremy, and I'm putting Jeremy fourth, not because I think he's a bad character. I just like those guys just as much as I like him.
Okay, Octopus Breath.
This is a difficult ranking to do because most of them are great characters.
Yeah.
So it's not a matter of saying one is bad.
And even the lowest tier one that we have, we all like him.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cockroach's my last because
he's just the least best written.
Yeah. There you go.
That's fair.
This isn't like a Deer Ranger where we literally had trouble deciding who was the better character because they all sucked.
Yeah.
And for the longest time, I was saying
it's like, it's like rank these characters, and you're just looking at 6 trash bags.
Well, I'm looking at them
what
like,
am I supposed to do with this?
I'm looking at like, okay, Barai, then Gosi, then the other 4 idiots.
Yeah, pretty much.
But for me, I'm going to put Jeremy at the top, just especially with this arc. I'm actually going to be a little different here. I'm still going to put Rita at number 2 just because I think she's a great character. After that, I would do Jimeno because she's still amazing. And I don't know. I think Jimeno and Rita are like a razor, the length of a razor apart. I just think that Rita is just slightly better. After Jimeno, I would put Yama, then Gira, and Kaguraki. I've not put you at the bottom in the past, but I'm sorry, dude. You're gonna have to get a little bit better. I have to put you last. Sorry, Kaguraki, but
no, I mean that's fair.
Yeah,
yeah. I think they're all still amazing characters. Do we have anything else that we want to say before we kind of prepare to move into this new story with King-Ohger?
Hope it doesn't miss a beat because they had really good stuff going on this first arc, but now we're kind of hitting a bit of a reboot. Let's hope that they don't lose any steps in this because sometimes it could be a little bit tricky, kind of starting over again. So,
well, I'm hoping it is a continuation without having to reboot anything.
Yeah, I'm hoping that it's more of like what they finished came back like several years later, and instead of it just being like a hard reset on some stuff.
Yeah.
But if they can keep these characters the way they're going, then I mean they can't really miss.
I think it's just the villains that just need some work because, like we said, Death and Rock was not really compelling villain. And sure, they try to make him compelling at the end, towards the end, but it still was like, where was this at earlier?
Yeah.
And there's a couple of like other questions I have going into the second arc. One is, what is Kyoryu Red's role going to be in all this? Because he has been confirmed to be returning. To what extent, not entirely sure. And
he brought the space bugs.
What if he is
had to make it about himself again, didn't he?
No, what if it's like an isekai type of thing where he just gets transported into this realm for like some strange reason?
Yeah, because that's what I'm curious about. Because
it's probably just going to be a play on. Oh, I found that there were kings here. I'm a king too, and then he dabs for some reason.
Well, okay, you know what's funny? I'm going to say this and I'm going to let Nate talk because I know we cut Nate off, but I do want to say, if you guys go back to our King-Ohger announcement podcast that we did last year, or Maybe it was this year. I don't know when it happened.
It was last year.
It was last year.
The cover art I designed for that was King's head on top of Jason doing the Zeo Gold morph.
Because
you did
remember
do that.
the gold Zeo Ranger's name is King Ranger.
Yeah, King Ranger.
Yeah.
In
So
Sentai,
I made a play on King being in there, and now look
Yeah.
at it. A year later, I'm correct.
Yeah, here he is. And the other thing is, let's be real, Rackless is going to come back. How and what is he going to look like?
Yeah,
when he
he's
finally
been
comes
gone
back?
for 2 years. It was like,
he's
gonna
not
look like a bum.
dead. Yeah,
I know he's not dead, but he's gonna look like a bum because I would love
like-
to see like a bum Rackless.
Yeah,
like that.
How does he come back? What does he look like? What role does he play? Because honestly, I think it would be kind of stupid if we just don't see him again. Like he's actually dead.
It'd be kind of crappy.
It would be a little bit of a wasted villain at that point.
So I
just
ended up.
wondering.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I'm just wondering how they're going to bring him in because remember, King-Ohger takes place on a different planet.
Well,
That's why I
think
say
the first-
Isekai.
Yeah,
Or he could ride a.
King-Ohger takes place in the main Sentai universe.
it could because remember, this planet they're on is another planet.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not
like,
Earth. They confirmed.
Marvelous could fly in with the Gokai Gallon any minute he wants. Okay.
Well, the Kyoryuger do have a spaceship in
Yeah, Plezuan.
Plezuan.
Yeah, Plezuan. Yeah, Plezuan is a spaceship.
Oh. Dude, that'd be badass.
Yeah, the equivalent
So-
of the Plesiozord, I think.
Yeah.
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 In charge.
Yeah,
Yep.
Kyoryu Violet's mecha. Yeah, that thing does function as a spaceship. So
Dude,
yeah.
I forgot about
Because
that.
originally
he
it was just a
does
regular
have
mech,
access
but
to
he
space
modified it into a
travel.
spaceship.
So yeah, so
I mean, yeah, that's a
But,
good point.
I mean, the big thing is that, I mean, King-Ohger, they finished their first half off really great, and we hope that they keep up the momentum.
Yeah.
Like, please let this guy be a writer on par with, like, Yasuko Kobayashi. And then bring
Yeah,
him
'cause-
back so that he can keep writing good Sentai so that we could have someone to challenge Yasuko Kobayashi for the GOAT Sentai writer title.
See, Nate, you're projecting here because we haven't determined the GOAT yet.
Okay. Yasuko Kobayashi is the GOAT. I don't care what anybody else says.
Okay. I'm just saying.
wrote my favorite season, so I have to agree.
Now, I mean, okay, we're gonna have that. We're gonna have that like podcast at some point. So I'm not gonna go with a bunch of detail there, but I have a feeling that she's gonna win, and it's not even gonna be a contest. But anybody want to give their closing thoughts before we wrap up here, guys?
I'm ready to go in space.
Need
So,
Wheatley portal to space.
Just note, I have actually watched the like mini Rackless special that aired like a few months ago. Yeah, he's still trash. I'm glad he's not king anymore because like when you do watch some specials like we're gonna see how he became who he is. No, he was just always a dick. Like there's no development.
I'm glad you got killed.
Because okay, I'm gonna give you like a brief small spoil. I don't want to like spoil too much, but the main focus of that story was about the whole thing with him using the mechanism for the new mech that came out. Of course, the caucus. I forgot what it's called. What's it called again?
The calzone kabuto, yeah.
Yeah.
The calzone.
So they were mentioning about that, and one of his, I guess, engineers was gonna be like, "Oh, well, like, we're finished with the modifications," and he's like, "Great, I can kill you now because I don't want my secrets to get caught out." I'm just like, "What? Is there any other reason you want to kill this person?" She's just like, "Nah, I just don't want my secrets to get out." So yeah, he's trash. So yeah. Oh, and even the narration was like, this was the start of the most evilest, or like I guess the translation for me is said evilest king to take over the kingdom, or something like that. I was like, yeah, that makes perfect sense.
But yeah, we are about to approach the second half of King-Ohger. What set controls to outer space? just like the beginning of the theme song of the best Power Ranger season of all time.
Yep.
You know it.
But anyway, with that said, we thank you guys so much for taking the time to check out this podcast. We're going to be doing quite a bit for you guys. We're going to be looking at more King-Ohger stuff, of course, until the very end. Riz, Anthony, and I are going to be taking a look at the Power Rangers audio drama, at least the first 2 seasons. And then all 4 of us will be uniting for our next big current Sentai podcast, Mirai Sentai Time Ranger. I am really looking forward to this, especially because I've been debating in my head whether I think that's better or Time Force is better. And now these 3 guys are going to be able to help me figure that out.
Yeah, this has been one of my most anticipated Sentais to watch, so I'm antsy.
Yeah, and we are about to get started on that. If you guys are watching this on YouTube, you can leave a comment down below, just, with your thoughts on King-Ohger, maybe any Sentai or other Toku content you want us to take a look at, and we will take your comments into account. If you're listening to us on Spotify or iTunes, first of all, love you guys. Second of all, you guys can reach out to us on animesecrets.org to give us any commentary or, stuff that you might be interested in. You can contact us through that. So that's about it. We will see you guys next time. We once again thank you guys for taking the time to listen to us, and we will see you guys next time on the next podcast that gets posted, whether it's the audio drama, the Time Ranger video, or the King-Ohger video. But until that time, you guys stay safe. We love you, and may the power protect you.